Yeah, I divorced my husband because he became a QAnon MAGA freakazoid. And I divorce your husband, ladies. Leave your husbands if they're MAGA.
Okay, so I go on Instagram and I find out that MAGA wives are divorcing their husbands like at an alarming rate. I guess, I don't know, your husband's not sticking up for you and he's supposed to protect and provide and pretty much embracing the whole Gilead thing. I guess I'd get out of there too. Glad I'm single.
Goodbye.
But when will I see you again?
Oh, never, never.
Never?
Well, maybe someday.
When? Tomorrow?
Oh, no.
Piper, no. Tsunami. Buddhism. No. No.
People are breaking up with their boyfriends over how they voted, and I don't know why anyone's surprised about this. Because politics aside, people break up over the things they care deeply about all the time. Now, any couple who does have differing political views but is fine and dandy, I think it's just because their convictions are not strong enough to have it matter, right? Like they don't care enough about their politics to have it impact their relationship. But if you are someone who cares a lot about politics and your partner doesn't, that's the disconnect. And that can be true of anything, right? Like, let's say you really care about having kids and then you find out that your boyfriend is like, well, I don't really care about.
Okay, let's get one thing straight right off the bat. These men love to whine about how sensitive women have become. And just because of politics, because of different political views, I think that first of all, you really need to recalibrate and adjust your internal compass to treat the people around you with genuine kindness, and then you'll start to receive a reciprocal emotion back. If you just treat people poorly, then why do you act all surprised and wonder why? To begin with, we really need to fully comprehend what we can provide for another individual. We get the exact same thing back ourselves.
Or say if you found out your boyfriend really wanted to not have a home base and travel remotely, work remotely for years on end, and you don't really care about that, you're probably going to break up with him. Anytime a partner cares about something is important to them that feels big in their lives, and their partner doesn't care about that thing the same way, I think it's a recipe for disaster no matter what that thing you care about is. So I don't think it's a surprise that politics is one of those things.
It is such a shame that people are ending relationships just for having different political beliefs. Can we take that, put it on the curb, flag down the garbage truck, tell them to pick this up, turn around, and never look back? If in 2026 this is still your mindset, that means you're not paying attention and you haven't paid attention to everything anyone has said. And I say that because the true sad thing, the true shame in all this is the fact that people are not being vague when they talk about ending relationships with someone based on where they are politically. They are being specific about why. They are telling you directly what parts of it they have a problem with. So either you are not listening or you're intentionally ignoring. I will help you out for the 1,000th time. I will not end a relationship if you pick Coke over Pepsi. If you feel women should not have their reproductive rights, you can go to hell.
I could not see myself ending up with somebody that was such a Republican. I couldn't do it.
Okay, so you guys disagreed about politics?
Yeah, among other things, like religion and like how to raise kids and a couple other things, but...
Sounds like you guys were completely incompatible. How long are you guys together?
Okay, so we knew each other for 12 years almost, and then we were friends for 8 of those years, and then last year we decided to give it a try. And we thought we could work.
1 year.
Yeah, we thought we could give it an honest effort and like
an honest effort through being completely incompatible and not agreeing on any kind of.
Notice how this woman bent over backwards to somehow save this whole relationship, while the alpha male just couldn't provide any emotional intelligence at all. It seems to me that first and foremost, you need to develop some emotional intelligence and know how to communicate with a woman. If you simply can't provide any of that, then what do you even want from this relationship?
What was the kicker?
I told him like I couldn't do it anymore, and I didn't know if I could handle it anymore, but I made him kind of put the final nail in the coffin, if you will, and do the final breakup.
You made him?
Yeah. Because I wanted to keep trying. I wanted an option for compromise, and I wanted an option to build a life together and all that. And he was like, yeah, I think we're just better as friends. We're too different. It's over. So now when we share a house and utilities and
you guys are still renting together and everything.
Yes. Well, yes.
How have your finances been impacted in terms of this?
Well, now I have to find a new apartment that's going to cost more than my half of the rent, and I have to start paying all the utilities.
He admitted that he was going to vote for Donald Trump, and I'm just,
that was it.
I can't share my life with somebody that's going to support that direction. I mean, this individual is a convicted felon, will say offensive remarks about women, about different ethnicities, and I find it highly offensive. How can this man lead our country when he's in a position of power and will openly insult different groups? It's very offensive.
I believe that Kamala Harris is the leader that we need, and she gives us, a seat at the table. And if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. But I don't know how many people would have gone as far as to split with their significant.
This is just crazy. Look at how women try to lower their standards just to somehow build a relationship with these MAGA guys. And I don't think they deserve it at all, because they treat women like second-class citizens. Consequently, they don't respect them at all. But then, at the end of a hard day's work, they ask for a back rub or some other privileges. You see, the thing is, I think it's just, it's honestly just not right, to put it quite simply.
And other because of a political view. Do you regret your decision to leave?
No, I am a strong woman, and I believe that women out there need to be strong and stay steadfast in their convictions. Ladies, we need to band together.
I have a boyfriend. He is pretty liberal, and I fall somewhat moderately conservative, and it works. But I mean, I was asking, can a relationship work if you have fundamentally different ideological values?
Be careful. I have seen it work rarely. Here's a sad reality. About half of marriages end in divorce anyway, and most of those divorces have people with the same values. You are going to debate everything. Where are you going to send them to school? What kind of television programming are you going to watch? Are they going to be religious? Are they going to be secular? Are you going to talk favorably about America or negatively about America? Are you going to teach them that entrepreneurs are good or entrepreneurs are bad? And then here's what ends up happening, is that parents will then turn against each other and try to take the kids hostage ideologically in a very, very bitter dispute. I know that sounds cynical, and you might have a love for this person, and maybe you can make it work. It can work rarely. But when it does work, unfortunately, they stay married, but they really are far apart. Aristotle said the closest form of friendship are two beings that are looking at the same ultimate destination.
I think that women who date conservative/traditional men actually like the way that they're being treated. And I think it's because it makes them feel special to have a man who's mean to the rest of society be kind to them. But the gag is they're not even kind to their girlfriends, but they make this illusion that they're like these providers and protectors and they're such good guys. But for the people who are looking in from the outside, it's so easy to see through.
This fake protector image, the shirt, the beard, it's just a, let's say, imaginary shield from the environment. These men, rather, want to show off to show they're cool by belittling others, just to boost their own ego. But as soon as they get any pushback, their ego breaks instantly, and they become fragile right away.
Whether or not the women are traditional themselves, I think that these men fill their heads with all sorts of nonsense that makes them feel like they are wifey material or they're one of the good ones. Whole time they're cheating on you, they're abusing you, they're leaving you drunk downtown with a dead phone, which I saw happen with two different couples, both with conservative men who like to randomly drop misogynistic things in group settings, things like that. Sorry, my mic just died. But this weekend I was in close proximity with this couple. At first they seemed really cool, and as the night progressed, he started to drop random misogynistic things. and started talking about God and just religion, talking about men being stronger than women and things like that. So you already know what kind of guy this was. But his girlfriend, on the other hand, was very sweet, very quiet. She wasn't the type to snap back at anything that he would say. That's why I'm not usually sure. Well, this speaks to a whole bigger issue of women who just take on the politics of their boyfriend or their husband, which happens a lot in conservative areas, because a lot of times these women will be like, they'll have all these like POC friends when they're younger, and they'll be so progressive when they're younger, and then they start dating their boyfriend and just completely change. I've seen that happen so many times. So it's hard to know like which one they were faking. But anyway, we just like saw him start to change as a person as the night went on, and we started to get more drinks in us and things like that. Anyway, the whole night this guy is raving about being a provider and a protector and being such an amazing guy. Why do I find out the next day that he left his girlfriend downtown with a dead phone, blocked her on everything? Mind you, he's the one that took her wherever we went. I left by the time that all this stuff happened.
Listen to what this woman is saying. She's saying that these men try to act like traditional providers, like nice guys, but in reality, they're just predators. For instance, at that moment when this woman was just drunk on alcohol, they simply took advantage of the situation. Well, it's quite unpleasant to say, but it is what it is. And I think that in a real relationship, that shouldn't happen. Well, it's pretty shameful.
But yeah, left her downtown, dead phone, blocked her on everything, and then the next day they were back together. So now I'm looking at the girl like, do you like this type of treatment? Like, does it make you feel special for, you know what I mean? There was another girl that I used to know years ago from Idaho, and she told me that one time her boyfriend got her super drunk, took her downtown, they came home, she was on her period, and she said that they ended up like getting busy, and she said that she didn't remember it, but then the next morning she woke up and her tampon was still in. Whole time, again, raving about how amazing this guy is, how he's a provider and protector. And to this day, both of these guys have really good public PR. Like, everybody thinks they're just like really good men. And the women themselves will continue to rave about how they're such good guys. I'm just like, yeah, I feel like conservative men have really good PR. And of course, this can apply to all types of men at the end of the day, like the patriarchy. But I do feel like specifically for conservative men in small towns, they get away with a lot, and I think that the women like the way that they treat them.
Okay, part 2, why you don't date conservative men, and my experience dating one when I was in my 20s. Some things that were said when I was around. So he came from more money than me, and I was talking about privilege and inequality in America, and he looks at me and he says, "Why do you think you're black?" I would have to have dinner with his family, and they would talk about how Democrats hate America. And my dad is a Democrat and served in the Air Force. None of them served. Now I'm vegan. I was a vegetarian at the time, and
This is absolute hypocrisy from the elite conservatives. They hang out in clubs themselves and want to relax in high-end places, yet they want a woman for themselves who is a total virgin and saving herself for marriage. Do you realize that these so-called conservatives hit rock bottom a long time ago? Because I have a fair question. What can you even offer her if there's absolutely nothing to get from you?
his mom knew that. She'd invite me over just for steak, nothing else, and then be rude to me. And he would say it was because she was threatened because she never worked and I had a career. At family dinner, they would talk about his perfect younger sister who was saving herself for marriage, despite the fact that she was dating a man 10 years older than her who had had many women. And they would also talk about how it was fine that he was off traveling and partying and going to bachelor parties. Make it make sense. Now, I don't know what the deal is about rich Republican men doing this, but him and his dad would get together and they would act like they were poor conservative men. I never understood that. They would buy all this expensive gear to go hunting and pretend like they were poor. That's a thing that they do. It's like cosplay. They would talk about at dinner, because they were from Arizona, I was not from Arizona. And the dad would talk about wanting to shoot Mexicans who crossed the border. I graduated with my master's degree and was looking forward to working. And he told me that I shouldn't work. I wasn't going to work when I told him I needed to work because I just got my master's. I needed to learn more about my profession. He was angry. And this was right before one of the reasons I left and we broke up. There is no conversation you can have with a conservative man that is going to fix him or change him or make it better. You have to leave because your values do not align. And this idea that one conversation is going to help is complete bullshit.
This is something you need to check right away on the first date. If you see that a person is toxic, believe me, you won't cure him with love. You need to take note. Also, if this man is a wimp and starts talking about some of his problems, constantly complaining, he's also not the one for you. So, make your decision quickly. If you see it's not for you, better pack your bags and leave, because you won't find love there.
Your values don't align, and they will always go back to who they are. And this is why I do not trust women who are with conservative men. I was in my 20s. I learned my lesson. I would never date conservative men since that time, and I would ask them on dates, and people would give me a hard time. They'd be like, "Oh, you're not being open. Why do you ask about politics? Like, blah blah blah."
If you have any trashy relationship stories, leave them in the comments. It'll be interesting to read. Subscribe to us. It'll be interesting.